Hi, ladies. It is Monday, March 23rd, and today we are going to be starting our distance learning program. Um, so first thing we're going to be starting with is CGI. So this is going to work very similarly to class. We're going to read through the story problem together. We're going to mark up the story problem. We're going to talk about what each of those numbers mean, why they're important, and how we're going to use them. So after we talk about it, you're actually going to go through, you're going to do your plan, solve, and check section on your own. So we'll talk about it, you'll pause the video, you'll do plan, solve, check, and then you'll unpause the video and we will talk about it together. So taking a look at our problem, it says Jack's bookshelf has 6 shelves. Each shelf can hold 12 books. He has already placed 54 books on the shelves. How many more books can the bookshelf hold? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be looking at this problem, okay? I really want you to think. So if he has these 6 shelves, each of the shelves can hold 12 books, and he already has 54 books. Is our answer going to be more than 54 books or less than 54 books? And I want you to really think about maybe why. All right, so at this point, I want you to pause the video. I want you to really look through the story problem. I want you to identify those numbers that are important. I want you to identify the question. Are there any clue words that you're seeing that might help you better understand? All right, so let's take a look at the word problem together. It says that Jack has 6 shelves. He also has, on each shelf, it'll hold 12 books. And he's already placed 54 books on the shelves. Another word that I'm noticing that's really important is this word each. We know that the word each can give us 2 different operations. We can either look at that as multiplication or we can look at it as division. So it's really important that we determine, do we know our whole? Do we know that total? Are we searching for the total? Because that's going to help us determine which of these operations that we want to do. Another part that's really important is our question. So our question is asking, how many more books can he fit on his bookshelf? So how many more books can the bookshelf hold? And something that's really important here is we're trying to figure out how many more. And with that, how many more, we're trying to find that difference. So how many more books? So we want to know that difference between what our bookshelves already hold and then the books that we have on our. All right, ladies, so you should have already solved this problem. We're going to go through, we're going to talk about our quantities, some of those clue words that you saw, and how to actually solve this problem. So within the problem, we had 6 total shelves, so that 6 represents how many total shelves we have. The 12 represents the total number of books that fit on one of the 6 shelves. And then 54 represents the number of books that they've already placed on the shelves. So looking at the first part of the question, we want to figure out how many places they have on the shelves that are going to fit all of the books. So how many total books we can fit on all 6 of the shelves if 12 books fit on each shelf. So that word each is really important for that first part. The word each identifies that we're either going to be using multiplication or division. So we want to ask ourselves, do we know the total number of books we can fit on the shelf? Is that number going to get larger than 54 or smaller than 54? And we know that we don't have our total. We don't know how many books can actually fit on the shelf. So we know that because we're also talking about shelves and books, we can automatically eliminate addition and subtraction because you have to have the same whole in order to add or subtract. We can't just add together books and shelves. And then we said we don't know our whole, so we want our answer to get bigger. So that would leave us with multiplication. So we can do this a couple different ways. We can use our 6 and our 12 and just do 6 times 12 as a basic fact. And we know that that equals 72. We can do the stacking method, 12 times 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. We can do lattice, 12 on top, 6 on the bottom, on the side. 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 1 is 6, and then add it. We can also do partial products. So we have 10 and 2, and then we have 6. 10 and 6 is 60. 2 and 6 is 12. We add those together and get 72. So the 72 is going to represent how many total books can fit on all 6 of the shelves. And then we're going to move on to part 2. So part 2, we're trying to figure out how many total books we can still fit on the shelves. So we have a total of 72 books that fit on all of the shelves, and then we have 54 books that we've already placed on the shelf. So we want to know how many places there still are left. So we have 54 books and we have 72 books. We know that both of those have the exact same whole, so it's important that we know that we can add or subtract those. Also, we want to think, we're finding the difference between those two numbers. If we're finding the difference between those two numbers, that tells us that we want to subtract. We also know that we already have our whole. Our whole is 72. We have 72 total books. So we know that we don't want to get bigger. And then we also know that we're not making 54 equal groups 72 times or anything like that. So we can automatically eliminate division. So basic subtraction, we're going to take our 72 because it's the larger number, and we're going to subtract 54. We know we have to borrow, so the 7 becomes a 6, the 12 becomes, or 2 becomes a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 6 minus 5 is 1. So we have 18 more books that can fit on the shelf. And then our number sentence we're going to use is going to have order of operations, because order of operations is super important as a 5th grader. We're going to do that first part first using parentheses, so showing that we want to do 6 times 12 first. And then we're going to get 72 here. We know we take 54 from 72 because it is a larger number. And that's going to give us our total of 18 books. Bookshelf.